Good afternoon, everybody, and very welcome to this second webinar about Europe, our wide and safe space. We are very glad to count with you all, and I see that we have already almost 50 people, and the number is always moving. This makes us very happy that you are with us, and so to make the welcome to this session, I'm going to pass the floor to Professor Julia Seixas, that is the chair of the SDSN Portugal. Please, Julia.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to give you a warm welcome to this 1-hour session. This session is about a very important flag that Europe is claimed and is working during the last decades, I would say, that is making our way towards a carbon neutral Europe. For sure, climate change is maybe one of the top 2 or 3 global issues that we have for our existence, and that we live these years, this present. Climate change is not about the future anymore, about projections, it's about the present. So this is very important, this subject, and Europe has been, as I said, like a flag for the world, not only in terms of regulation, like the European climate law, but also all the framework, the technological framework, the political decision that we have. We should keep going on this way. This is my personal conviction, and I do think that we have to do this pathway. If you want to keep a certain quality of life in this planet Earth, we don't see, unfortunately, we don't see this position in other regions of the world. But for that case, I think Europe needs to keep strong in this goal and in all the perspectives and components that support this way to become a carbon neutral territory. So it is very important, this session. And this is also about elections, because we have to recognize, I recognize myself, that the issue of climate change and the way we should and we have to approach it for political options, for political perspective, are different across in the political diversity of opinions that we have. So I think it is time to understand what's going on in Europe regarding the programs and ideas and the goals on the climate change solutions for the future, mostly for the youth and the young generations that are still to be born. And then this is also an opportunity to invite every young people to keep their responsibility, their right to vote in the next European elections. So this is my introduction. Thank you very much to SDSN Europe for this opportunity. And also SDSN Portugal is very proud to host this session today. Nice work this afternoon.
Thank you, Julia, for your welcome to this session. And now I have the pleasure to pass the floor to Professor Angelo Riccaboni, that is co-chair of SDSN Europe, and that is going to explain very shortly how this idea came that Europe needs these webinars. So please, Professor Riccaboni.
Thank you, Maria, for introducing this seminar. Thank you, Julia, for hosting the seminar as SDSN Portugal. And as you said, the reason is very simple. We all live in Europe. We are very used to what we are doing in Europe, but people, especially youngsters, do not realize which are the very important advancements that Europe has done in the last few years in the field of sustainability. So we need to make everybody aware that the only political space which is very strongly working on sustainability is Europe. So we want a better world, we want a better environment, we want a better society, and Europe in the last few years has done a lot. We need to keep going in this direction, and especially youngsters need to understand that we do not need to take everything for granted. Think people that all our rights or the direction we have taken is granted for the future. This is not true. We need to keep going. In order to do that, all of us need to express themselves, and we need to vote at the next elections in order to make it sure that we are going the right direction. So I will stop here. I don't want to spend more time. You said many important things. I would like to thank also Maria Cortez for helping us organizing these 3 workshops, which have the same aim: to discuss, to present the advancements, the initiatives, the projects that Europe has started in the last few years in order to have a more sustainable space. And I'm sure that we are giving a very small contribution, but each of us should give a contribution for a better Europe. So thanks, Julia. Thanks, Maria. And back to you, the microphone.
Thank you very much, Professor Carboni. And so this leads us to the core of our webinar, that is the presentation of these examples of good things that have been done in Europe by different actors. And the first one will be a short keynote done by Catarina Slada from SEIA, one of the organizations of the Directive Council of SDSN Portugal. And she is the head of innovation policy in this center. So please, Catarina, can you begin?
Okay. So hello, everyone. It's my pleasure to participate in this webinar. So I will speak about the people-centered approach to promote carbon neutrality in cities. As we know, the European Union aims to be climate neutral by 2050 and to reduce 55% of carbon emissions by 2030. And we strongly believe that cities are at the heart of this transition because they are closer to citizens and to communities. That's why the European Commission created a network of 100 smart and climate neutral cities by 2030. We know that several technology solutions are already available to accelerate the transition to climate neutrality and to advance the Sustainable Development Goals. However, we think that the green transition, it's not only about technological transition, but is essentially a social and cultural tradition. That's why the European Commission launched in 2021 the new European Bauhaus initiative, connecting the European Green Deal to our daily lives and living spaces. So climate solutions focusing on shifts in behaviors, values, and institutions are as important as those that focus on technologies, materials, and markets. So the role of behavior change is key in this transition to carbon neutrality. According to a report of the International Energy Agency, a transition of the scale and speed described by the net zero pathway cannot be achieved without sustained support and participation from citizens. And the behavior changes can offer gigaton scale CO2 savings and represent a substantial overlooked strategy. And the impact of these behavior changes can be quantified. So this graphic shows the role of technology and behavior change in emissions reductions in the net zero economy. Which is interesting is that 4% of emissions reductions in the net zero economy stem from behavior changes. For example, replacing a private car to a bicycle in our commuting trips. But furthermore, 55% of emissions reductions require a combination of the deployment of low carbon technologies and the active engagement and involvement of citizens. So we are talking about not only technology, but also about social adoption of technology. So this is in fact a people-centered approach, a community-centered approach, because we need to bring the green transition to the local level, to the cities, closer to people and communities. But we also need to give people the tools to make informed choices so they can have an active role in the transition towards carbon neutrality. So data and information is very important. According to the United Nations Global Innovation Hub concept paper, as the climate contribution of the consumers cannot be measured, they cannot be incentivized. And we believe that individual decisions, personal choices are important for this fight against climate change. About carbon markets, we need also to promote the democratization of carbon markets, considering not only big companies and brokers, but also small-scale projects and small entities. However, young people is at the heart of this transition. According to Michael Bloomberg, climate change is an all-hands-on-deck challenge, and it's critical that young people who have the most at stake help lead the way. So, youth need to be activated to address sustainability in their own lives with their attitudes and behaviors. And we also believe that young people are agents of change and can inspire their colleagues, families, and friends to adopt sustainable behaviors and to reduce carbon emissions. We also think that young people are able to create communities sharing the same values and beliefs about the importance of taking actions for a more sustainable society. So it's a transition from a I economy to a we economy. Collective action is very important. And schools are innovation hubs to building these climate neutral communities. We think that climate education is very important to promote social transformation. And about elections, young people are underrepresented in decision and policy-making processes, and they need to be empowered to participate in the future of Europe. But democracy is about much more than just voting. Of course, we need to vote at local, national, and European level, especially in the next European elections. But democracy is also about civic engagement and participation in the democratic process. And local level is very important. Young generations need to be mobilized to contribute to the co-creation with local stakeholders of new policy projects and actions to accelerate the transition to carbon neutral cities. So that's why SEIA has developed a sustainability platform called Air Platform, which is the first platform that assigns a value to sustainable behaviors, putting people at the heart of climate action. In 2021, the Air Platform was awarded by the European Commission with the new European Bauhaus Prize under the category Products and Lifestyles. So the Air Platform, firstly, quantifies in real time carbon emissions avoided by citizens using sustainable mobility modes. For example, a bicycle instead of a private car. And this quantification is very important because it makes the contribution of citizens to the decarbonization of the city where they live visible and tangible. Then the air converts these avoided CO2 emissions into tokens, into digital credits, as tradable environmental assets. And in fact, these assets store the value of our behaviors. And finally, air allows the exchange of these tokens for green goods and services or public benefits in a local ecosystem. For example, mobility services or municipal services. But in certain circumstances, Air Platform allows the creation of local voluntary carbon markets, rewarding collective action. But we are also working with young people using the AIR platform as an awareness and intervention tool. In fact, we have customized the AIR app to the student community, and we are using data and information, community building, and incentives to promote behavior change. We are also, of course, producing data, information, and knowledge, which is important for students, for schools, but also as a support to decision-making and to the definition of public policies in the area of mobility and climate. So we are also producing climate intelligence to local decision makers. And after implementing this project in a school here in Matosinhos, now we are testing the pilot project in 4 cities in the north of Portugal, Guimarães, Matosinhos, Braga, and Oporto, and in 25 schools with around 400 students and teachers. However, once more, we think technology is not enough. In our complex, ever-changing world, it is not enough to teach specific expert-endorsed ideas about climate action. We need to teach critical, creative, and future-thinking skills. And we believe that arts and culture can play a critical role in engaging young people with new perspectives on climate change. Not only arts and culture, but also social sciences and humanities. So yes, we are working with children, creating artistic manifestos for sustainability, and also co-designing new products and services, and also urban innovation projects to be implemented in schools and in the cities where they live or study. So we are combining 2 different worlds, arts and culture and science and technology. But we believe that these 2 dimensions are important to promote behavior change, to promote new attitudes. So we are mixing efficiency, optimization, quantification, data and information with inspiration, imagination, openness, emotion, and creativity. That's why enabled by the AIR app and in line with the new European Bauhaus values, we have launched a civic movement led by young people to transform cities based on sustainability, crossing arts and culture to inspire new behaviors and lifestyles. And this movement was recognized by the European Commission in the new European Bauhaus Progress Report of 2022. NEP partners are effecting tangible transformations on the ground. SEIA launched the NEP by Air movement in the city of Matosinhos, Portugal, and the center is involving the young generations in the early conception to the design, prototyping, and deployment of innovative urban solutions. And of course, now we are enlarging this project, this movement, to other cities in Portugal, and even in Brazil and in Europe. So just to finish, I would like to challenge you to join us in this movement led by young people to achieve a carbon neutral Europe and also to advance the sustainable development goals. Thank you.
Thank you, Catarina, for this interesting presentation. So now we have Leonor and Mariana, that are 2 pupils of one of the schools that is involved with this platform, and they are going to speak a little bit about their experience. So, Leonor and Mariana, please.
I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, so Okay, it's on. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mariana Pereira and my colleague is Leonor Cunha. We are both 17 and students in Escola Secundária João Gonçalves Arco in Matosinhos. And it's our pleasure to participate in this webinar. So we took part in a project called CESARC, the School Community Decarbonizing the City.
So our project involved 3 classes, 70 students and 4 teachers, and it was a pilot project aimed to discover how the school can contribute to the decarbonization of the city. The project went on for 5 months.
So the main goals of the project were to reduce the carbon footprint of commuting in the school community, to value the impact of students and teachers on the city's decarbonization, and to influence mobility and carbon neutrality policy options. To do this, we used the AIR app to quantify and value carbon emissions avoided by adopting sustainable mobility behaviors.
So we started this project in December, calculating individual and class carbon footprints. And in January, we were introduced to the AIR.
Then in February, we began the use of the AIR app to quantify and value avoided emissions. In March, we created a balance sheet. In May, we presented the results to Matosinhos City Council, and in June, we had an open day to disseminate the results to the community.
These were the standards of our community. Mobility profile differs depending on the routes. On average, 41.5% of trips in this pilot group are made in gasoline and diesel cars. There are those who travel 300 meters a day, but also 38 kilometers. And 53% of students travel more than 10 kilometers per day, and 10% to less than 1 kilometer.
So, our community's initial carbon footprint was of around 3,238 kilograms per month and 19,432 kilograms per school year, which means 180 days. Then we had to make 2 decisions. The first one was we reached the conclusion that we wanted to reach the reduction target in 1 month. And we decided that the reduction we wanted would be of around 10% compared to the initial footprints.
In this dashboard, we were able to see the results obtained throughout the month.
So after 1 month, our community avoided around 43 kilograms of carbon dioxide, which related to around 1,216 euros. We generated 426 tokens, and our reduction compared to our initial footprint was of around 1.31%.
So our proposals relative to tokens exchange consisted essentially of services or goods related to school or modes of transport.
Relative to our personal experience, we consider this project to be very interesting and successful, especially because it allowed us to realize our importance and the change we could have in the world.
However, there were some negative points, such as the bugs in the app, the need to use data to validate the trips, and the short duration of the project.
However, because of having participated in the project, we could actually help to improve the app, and now it is the way it is. After this, CESARC received an award for the most inspiring climate education project by the European Commission. We thank you for your attention. We hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any doubts.
Thank you very much, Mariana and Leonor, for this inspiring presentation, because we believe more in the world when we see young people like you doing this. Yeah, so very nice. Okay, so now we go to our second presentation case of this afternoon, and this is by Sergio Ribeiro, that is also a young, that is CEO and co-founder of Planetiers, and is going to present to us what is Planetiers. Please.
Hello to Lisbon and to the world. I'm delighted to address you today at the Planeteers World Gathering, a gathering of dreamers and makers.
We created this event because we wanted to gather these like-minded people that need to know exactly what kind of solutions, innovations, and stakeholders are actually working every day to bring a more sustainable world to our society, to our markets.
What's the legacy that you want to leave?
Actually, sustainability is about what to do. What is the right thing to do?
Because in nature, everything evolves from scarcity to abundance through diversity.
I believe climate change exists. I believe in scientific evidence. And I know we are far from fulfilling the Paris Agreement goals.
That one person can change the world.
So let's get home, let's go away and think, what can we do in the next 5 minutes to change, to make the difference? Thank you so much.
It's great to be with committed citizens, activists, business people, professionals that do care about the environment, that do care about our planet. It's great to be here to talk about what we need to do in the present so that we have a future.
We need to stick together as a community, as individuals with common values, as Planeteers.
Sergio likes challenges, as you may see, because in the last 3 days we could see how you like the challenges. I would like to ask for an applause to Sergio, his team, and all the stakeholders of Gathering Planeteers.
Thank you for the example you set and for the hope you inspire. The European Union is at your side, today and on the road ahead.
Thank you so much for joining us for these 3 days. Let's follow up with all of these conversations because this is just the beginning. It's the end of the event, it's the beginning of the transformation.
Well, I think you can hear me. Thank you for spending these few minutes watching this video. It's very difficult to reflect what those images and the sound and the music and the dynamic of the event reflects to our purpose. And just very quickly to introduce why are we here as Planeteers. I founded Planeteers with a co-founder of mine here in Portugal. The goal was actually trying to find a way of making it easier to access sustainable solutions, because usually people, when they're already aware of the problems, they hit the wall, which is, now what should I do, right? What can I do? What kind of products, what kind of technologies? And this is true either you're a final consumer, a citizen, or if you're a business and you have to take decisions, right? And there were several ingredients that we found that were missing in this transition, right? So first, we had to bring, again, people to the center. And I was very happy to hear that a lot in the previous conversations, because yes, we need the technologies, yes, we need the solutions, we need the innovation, but all of those things will also hit a wall if we don't deal with people, if we don't understand people and work with people, right? Don't forget that either you're selling a B2C product, either you're selling a B2B or B2G to governments, right? We're talking about people making the call. People are making the decisions every day, either for your business, just for your home, your house. So we have to understand people. And that's why that's when we found that we should gather all this ecosystem that we gathered for several years of Nobel Peace Prizes, CEOs of great companies, but put them together with the entrepreneurs, people in the fields, people that know the challenges that they're facing, right? That they're creating the solutions. If we don't connect those, those innovations won't go further. It won't go far. So we finally found a very interesting spot where everyone gathered in one place and they could mix perfectly hope and optimism, right, with practicality and solutions, which I think it's the perfect mix that you want to work with. And also, we really need to make the world smaller, meaning that we all need to understand we're all planeteers, like we say, right? There's no boundaries for pollution. There's no boundaries for diseases, right? Like we saw it in the last years. So we need to make the world smaller. We need to work together. That's why we're also working with several markets like Brazil, the UAE, the United States. Now we're looking and talking with Africa and the US, so we can connect with Europe in a way that we can actually find where are the solutions more needed, right? Because again, the world is very small. So I would just challenge you to join us at this year's event, the Planeteers World Gathering, which happens in Aveiro, the beautiful Aveiro, the Venice of Portugal, between the 20th and the 22nd of October this year. But also we'll be launching new initiatives in different countries, such as Rio and Brazil, right? Cities, Rio de Janeiro and Dubai, which we believe that we can actually together go further, go faster, because we need that too, and together. Thank you so much for this time, and we're open for more partners.
Thank you, Sergio. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much for this interesting organization that is worldwide. And I pass immediately the floor to Omid Asghari, that is the managing director of Greenment. So please, Omid, can we go on?
Yes.
Please,
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for your kind invitation. Meanwhile, I'm putting my presentation. I should express my heartfelt gratitude to Sergio, because I'm a plantier, first of all, and then from this amazing network, I found amazing people that want to make change. Fortunately, I can also have some contribution in this small world, as Sergio said. So, do you see my presentation? Not yet? Let me just...
No.
One more time. Okay, So, I want to start my presentation and my talk with a very direct question. Can you guess what is this number? 7 million. Any guess? You can put it on the chat. 7 million. It's a brilliant number, but unfortunately, this is a number according to the WHO that 7 million people are dying because of air pollution, what we call it invisible killer. And this is very, very emotional story, because this invisible killer killed some of my friends. And with my co-founder, we start to think out of the box, no, without the box, to see how we can bring the most polluted element in the industry and one of the most impactful industry in carbon CO2 emission, like a cement, to make it as a solution. So we convert, I would say, sheet to gold. And this is very crucial. And then we converted cement to what we call it green met. And this is innovation. And thanks to, like, as I said, environment, like Plantier is one of the examples of EU ecosystem, vibrant ecosystem, that we have to keep this ecosystem in order to be force the green technology. Our solution is very simple. Like, you can basically, you can plant in the cement. You can convert to the urban cities, like these ugly with the cement, to the green cities. And this is very revolutionary because, as you can see this example, we planted different kind of plants. It's based on geography, like UAE, Qatar, it has different feature plants that we can plant. In Portugal, in Netherlands, in France, in US. So far, we tested 100 type of groups, around 1,000 different kind of plants. As you can see, grass, for example. So imagine, I'm giving the example of the Portugal, for example. Imagine Aveiro, as Sergio said. Aveiro is a Venice of Portugal, and it has a canals. So what if we can make these the walls of the canals, the green canals, and we can harvest the plants that they can purify the water, that they can absorb the carbon, and it can have huge impact, and it can decrease the temperature of the city as well. So this is very interesting point that we can address these, I would say, problems with at least 40% less cost and addressing SDG goals. And this is the result of the, I would say, the ecosystem, the vibrant ecosystem in EU, that we can like participate, for example, in different events. We can meet the different partners, and the policy makers are more supportive compared to the other different part of the world. And this is the beautiful element in EU. This is the density of grass in the concrete. Can you imagine, like, we can convert the cities to the green cities, and automatically we can absorb the CO2, and we can actually, back to the amazing app that I just familiar with now. So we can make a platform and also infrastructure for decarbonization, tokenizing the ecosystem. Imagine you can convert in your walls to green walls, and you can earn money based on the action, green action that you can have. So imagine you can have these ugly walls in the highways, and then with green mint, you can convert to the green walls, which can absorb sound pollution as well. And that's beautiful, and it's good for all well-being ecosystem as well. And that's exactly how we want to bring the green sense of life to EU and also other part of the world, as EU can be one great example for other parts of the world. Thank you so much for listening to me, and hope to have connections after that, and I'm taking the questions if you have any questions.
Thank you very much, Hamid, for this interesting project. Well, now that we could hear these three inspiring cases, it's time. We have around 10 minutes for some questions. You can put them in the questions and answers, please. Well, I have already one here that say, what are the potential social impacts of transitioning to carbon neutrality, and how can these impacts be mitigated? I think maybe one of you wants to answer. Maybe Sergio wants to begin with the answer to this question.
Yes, so I don't think that there's one answer to that question, but But my point of view is kind of the opposite, which is I think that there is a lot of opportunities in this transition to actually bring more positive impacts to society. Not only has a consequence, again, we just saw an example, there are actually deaths that are happening because of the pollution, either it's from microplastics, either from air pollution. So that's a fact, and that will increase chaos on health services in countries, economics, so and so on, so on. There's a domino effect that we need to prevent or at least mitigate. I agree, and those are the ones that scare me the most, the health ones. But again, I think that if we make this transition in a way that we qualify people well with the skills that they need, and that's essential, but also if we support entrepreneurs, we support new companies to scale and grow in a way that they can actually employ more people in green jobs, in green activities, I think that's the metric that we need to actually achieve systemic sustainability, which is create green jobs. Green jobs is the metric for me because it will employ people and will not make them choose between the planet or food on the table, because I know that any one of us will choose the last one if we had to choose food on the table or the planet. So we need to tackle both. Create jobs, make people earn their living from green activities, meaning that they will put food on the table while they're doing good for the planet and society and all the social good consequences that go ahead. So I would say that's my point of view and my focus, at least for now. You're on mute, Maria, I think. Again, yes, now I can hear you. Now I can hear you.
I think that there was here. Well, thank you, Sergio. Omido, would you like to please add something to what Sergio was saying?
I do agree with Sergio. I want to add like the perspective of we have to do from the stakeholders perspective, zoom in and zoom out always. Like whoever we are, like maybe I'm an entrepreneur at the same time, for example, I'm doing social innovation, whatever, I have a role to play. And in every single of my daily life, I'm thinking, okay, how can I add to make this world greener? Because I have a baby, I need to protect this planet for future. And all single, as Sergio rightfully said, domino effect, or like I would say butterfly effect, it can have a huge impact. So every single of day, I think, okay, how can create green jobs with green met? Whether we are thinking, okay, for example, like making the project accessible for everyone, or we are narrowing down our mindset to just make money. This is totally different approach. That's why we have to think, as I said, out of the box. No, without the box, to bring it new solution, zoom in, zoom back. Every single behavior of all people can have impact in the society and also for all plants.
Thank you, Omid. Well, and I think that there is also an important aspect here, that is the question of that we have also the measurements of development in monetary things almost all the time. So the GDP, yeah, the gross domestic product, that measures the development when all these things are creating exactly well-being and a better world, and they should also be involved in these measurements more and more, and they are still not. So I think that this is an important issue. Okay, so there is another question, and I saw that Katarina would like to answer to it. This is why I left it. That is, how do EU countries plan to transition to renewable energy sources? So, Katarina, please.
In fact, at SEA, we have been working on several climate neutral solutions to be tested and deployed in cities concerning energy, but concerning essentially electric mobility. So at SEA, we are developing vehicles to be used as services, so mobility products to be used as services, comprising the physical product, which is the car, the bicycle, the data science platforms, and also the connectivity devices. So we strongly believe that the idea is to use mobility products as services, trying to reduce carbon emissions. Just another thing, sorry, Maria João, just another thing about the social impacts, because I think, of course, green transition must be a just transition, don't leaving anyone behind. And when we are working with young people are not a homogeneous group. And we have identified in our group a huge social, cultural, and economic diversity. And we have to push different people, different students to work with us.
Okay, thank you. And very important also is that everybody has access to these improvements. And I think that in this regard, really Europe is a privileged context in relation to other parts of the world that unfortunately have not the same investment and the same possibility of access to all the citizens, even if there are inequalities and even if there are a lot of gaps. But in spite of that, it is the most offering chances place that we have. I don't know if someone has any other question. I don't see any other here in the questions and answers. If not, I would like to pass the floor to Inês Alexandre, because Inês is the president of Lidera. And when we look at her, we see that she is a very young person and she very active. She decided to create a movement of young people exactly for the good of the planet, because they believe in sustainability. And so it will be Inês that is going to do the closing remarks that I'm sure will bring us a lot of hope. So please, Inês, take the floor.
Thank you, Maria João. And thanks for all the panel. It's very inspiring to be here. So, hello everyone. I hope you are well and having a great start to the afternoon with this brilliant panel. So, first of all, I need to share a little more about the Lidera, but I have the easiest part of this event after so much inspiration. So I am the president of this leadership community. In Portuguese is Lidera community, and it's a community of young people from different professional areas who taught sharing knowledge, networking and cooperation in the development of solution aimed to, in fact, Portugal transition to a sustainable society with focus on climate action, of course. And I am the executive director of IES. It's a social business school. So in the Lidera, we want to build an active society to fight against climate change, taught the action of young people, and we have three main goals. First of all, it's clarify and raise awareness among leaders about the causes and consequences of the climate emergency. Second one, develop individual and joint action. And the last one, create a network of influence to be capable to understanding more about this case. So right now we are encouraging universities, companies, NGOs, and the Portuguese government to work with young people to implement these measures related to decarbonization, but it's not enough yet. And we know that we are very close to the European election. In June of 9th is voting day, and we also know that young people participate and want to be part of the decision makers power, that they are not the future, they are the present, and we listen this every day. And I think we saw here today with this example of the work of these young people. So we cannot think about the future of Europe without think about decarbonization and about the work of young people and youth association that work together for a greener Europe with more knowledge and action to achieve the purpose, this decarbonization goals. And as Sergio said, from a positive perspective, we can think of the transition and decarbonization as an opportunity. The young generation needs a purpose to work, to enter in the job market. So let's do the green jobs and can be one of these opportunities. In Portugal, the number of social and environmental entrepreneurs is increased a lot, and in Europe too. So with great access to networking and mentoring networks to scale their business with a social and environmental focus as well. So now we have, it's like a toolkit to give the purpose this generation needs, and we can do this to a positive perspective. So I would really like to leave with you a message about why I'm here, or why young people are leading activists movements or informal discussions groups, and why they care about the collective. I think the first, it's because it's urgency, and it's impossible to think about our future without work with climate change. And it's a form of civic and social environment, and probably it's the cause of this generation. So Catarina Celada shared with us a great example of it. Marianne and Leonor are a perfect example to who we can work in synergy, and how Center of Engineering and Product can work with partnership with schools and the local communities for a local project and inspiration for action. Sergio brings us an event that facilitates access to the sustainable solution and brings together people who think and breathe sustainability in the same place. And Omid, it's an entrepreneur who taught a product to decarbonizing cities wall by wall with agreement. So I think it's a privilege to live in the time when we can see all of these great examples. And thank you very much for your work and for your contribution. And for finish, I think the achievements aim to inspiring the Europe youth to be active and acting for a carbon neutral Europe, therefore contributing to save the planet, and we need to push them. We know that the mission is big and that it's required us to put people at the center of the action, but we also know that we are here to work together, and at the last hour was a great example of that. So thank you very much to all, and thank you very, very much to invite us to finish this with our closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Inês. Yes, we have still 2 minutes, and I would like to use these 2 minutes to say to everybody that is with us in this interesting webinar that on the 17th and 18th of June, there will be a big international conference in Lisbon that is exactly paving the way to the Summit of Future that will take place in New York in September. And in this conference, it will be exactly discussed also the engagement of young people in decision-making processes, as well as transforming education and how to value what is beyond GDP in the development metrics. This event, of course, it will be in Lisbon, but it will be also web streamed. So this means that who has interest, please just send us one email or one message, and we will be sending you the dissemination of the program and of the register, the possibility of registering for this event. And Inês is part of the preparation of this conference because we have one group of young people, and it's really only young people that are discussing how to bring the young people in these decision-making processes and preparing an input for this Summit of the Future, because we also believe that young people are not only the future, they are already here and they have to work with us preparing this future. So one last word to thank everybody. So all the speakers for their very interesting contributions and for helping us to pass this message of how Europe has been working so strongly to heal this planet and to try to keep a zone of carbon neutral and also to contribute to have a better planet. And so please vote in the European elections that we can keep this Europe as it is and to improve the possibilities. So thank you very much to everybody, and we hope to see you soon in other events from SDSN. Thank you very much to everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Thank you all. See you soon.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.